everyone, I'm your produce guy. Today we're going to go ahead and show you how to use the blue oyster mushrooms that we grew. Now if you'd like to see how to grow your own blue oyster mushrooms, click right on these mushrooms here and it'll take you right to our video on growing those mushrooms. Now for our recipe today, I've got about 1.5 pounds of fingerling potatoes, which I prepared by slicing them in half lengthwise, coating them with about 3 tablespoons of olive oil and giving them a good toss here in the bowl. We also have, of course, our blue oyster mushrooms. Now, there weren't quite enough mushrooms to go with this recipe, so I'm supplementing them with some regular oyster mushrooms that I picked up at the store. We've got some garlic, shallot, some salt, pepper, olive oil, of course, as already mentioned, and some fresh Italian parsley. So, to get this started, we've got our oven set to 450 degrees. We're going to start with our potatoes. They're going to go in the oven. I'm going to put them on the tray here and get that olive oil out there. Now, the oven at 450, these are going to go in on the top rack. I've got the top rack set actually just one notch below the highest level in there. We'll put it on the top rack for the first 10 minutes. So we'll get these in there, and it's just the potatoes and a little bit of salt and pepper. Now that the potatoes are in the oven, they're in there for 10 minutes on that top rack. That will give me time to go ahead and prepare my other ingredients. So first I'm going to start by chopping up the shallots here. These minced shallots and the garlic are going to go on top of the potatoes after that first 10 minutes. With the shallots done, we can now get our garlic going. Now if you are a regular viewer, you know that I like to I wanted to say shred, but it's grate my garlic, not shred it. I like to grate it because that brings out the juices and the oils more, but because we're roasting this, I'm going to instead just kind of smash it down and chop it up a little bit and kind of mix it in with my shallots, because these are both going to go on top of the potatoes here in just a couple of minutes as they come out of the oven for their first 10-minute roast. The potatoes have just come out from their first 10 minutes and they already smell great. Now I am going to just kind of spread out these shallots and garlic onto the tray, and then they go back into the oven at that same 450, except this time they're going to go on the lower shelf in the lower third of the oven where probably the temperature is not quite as hot. So let me put those back in. We'll move to the next step. Now we move to our mushrooms. We're going to go ahead and break these up into some smaller clusters so that they can get spread throughout the dish. There go our blue oysters down onto the bottom of the bowl. And then we're going to go ahead and toss these with some more olive oil. Probably about 2 tablespoons of olive oil we'll use on these. Now that I've got my mushrooms coated with the olive oil, I'll put them out here on the pan. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but it is about 3/4 pound of mushrooms here. So to go with that 1.5 pounds of potatoes, so about a 2-to-1 ratio there. Okay, I've got them on my pan. The potatoes have about 3 minutes left on them. We're going to pop these in the oven. These are going to go on the top rack where we had the potatoes to begin with. And then we're going to let these get a beautiful golden brown, and that will take us close to 15 minutes on that top shelf. Once we get done with this, I'm going to, while they're cooking, I'll chop some parsley. We'll combine the ingredients, parsley will go in, and it'll be ready to serve. Well, here's our mushrooms out of the oven. You can see our little blue oyster mushrooms here and the great color on these other oyster mushrooms. These things were in about 14 minutes total. I did give them a little stir around about halfway through, and they are all ready. I'm going to go ahead and add these to our potatoes, which I've already got in the bowl here. Just slide those right in there, and then they'll be ready for our parsley and a little mix-up. Now the beauty of this dish is you can make it ahead, and you can reheat it at the 450 for about 5 minutes, and it'll just heat through and it'll be ready to serve. So you don't have to make it right as you're getting ready for dinner. You can have it done ahead. Let me get about a tablespoon of chopped parsley, and maybe a little more there. Give it a nice green, and there we go. Alright, let's see about having a taste of that. There we go. Fantastic. Oh, the roasted potatoes, oh, you know how those are good. And the oyster mushrooms have a slight seafood flavor with them. Just delicious. Well, that sure was easy. And of course, we always say here on Your Produce Guy, fresh is best. And it's always exciting when you can make a dish with something that you grew yourself. We grew those blue oyster mushrooms, a few potatoes, a couple other ingredients. Wonderfully delicious. Great side dish for your dinner. Thanks so much for being with us. I am Your Produce Guy. Looking forward to seeing you next time. Fresh is best. We'll see you. You know, there's an old saying that goes, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em. Well, I'm asking you to join me today to talk about beets. I've got a couple of examples here. I love beets. They're a favorite in my garden because they're easy to grow and they are delicious. They've got a high sugar content, and the best part about beets